Alright people, what is going on? Welcome back. So, with the continuation of the border crisis, and of course the Biden administration not even calling it a border crisis, we have to see what the man, the myth, the legend, Thomas Sowell himself says about illegal immigration. Because as you guys know, with this huge influx, it's a real problem, man. It's turning into a real mess down at the border, man. Like you guys seen the so-called kids in cages or whatever you want to call it, and those are like detention centers under the overpass. Got them like wrapped up as burritos in those like silver blankets or whatever. I don't know. I don't know why the Biden administration isn't calling it a crisis, being that there's such an influx of people coming in. What the last video I did, it was what like over 700% from last year, something like that. So it's like, holy shit, just wow. But nevertheless, let's see Thomas Sowell and his views on illegal immigration. I'm pretty sure it's gonna pretty much line up with mine. But of course, before we start the video, if you guys would like to help the channel, of course you can go to firstwarrior.com and get yourself some sweet ass merch like so. Use discount code SOHIMANUSA to get 10% off on every single order. With that being said, let's check out this goddamn video. All right, let's see what you got, Sowell.
If you had fences that went 5 feet into the ground and 10 feet above the ground and barbed wire on the top, I suspect we'd get just a few high jumping athletes coming into the United States.
You identify some groups that seem to be successful.
Yes.
No matter who are they? You mentioned Germans.
Oh, the overseas Chinese, who are fascinating because the overseas Chinese are successful everywhere in the world. The Chinese are successful everywhere in the world except China. Mm-hmm. And you could also say of the Indians that by and large they are successful everywhere in the world except in India.
Is that because in India,
just like Africans, like true Africans that come over here and build up their own businesses.
I remember an Indian businessman in California.
African Americans are just blacks who live here, who are born here.
India, and the son won't go because here he can move ahead on his own merit. In India, they have more quotas and preferences than we do, and have had them longer. And he knows that if he's not with the right group, why then he's not going to go anywhere, and so he says, forget it. He'll stay here in Silicon Valley.
Well, did you write this book because of today's immigration debate, or is it tied into...
Oh, no, good heavens. I started this book in April 1982. So today's immigration debate was not the uppermost thing in my mind.
Well, I assume you think it may have some influence on today's
debate.
debate.
I would hope so, because the situation, there are so many pluses and minuses. It's going to take some very serious thought to sort them all out. For example, the winning of World War II without having to land American troops on the beaches of Japan, where they undoubtedly would have been slaughtered by the tens of thousands, was made possible solely by immigrants who came over here and created the American atomic bomb. Mm-hmm. The American space program and the Russian space program are both due to the German rocket scientists. Right. You can run down the whole list of things that have been created. The garment industry in the United States and many other countries created by Jews and so on. So
yet you see the modern transportation today, and modern communication, I guess, is having less impact on the transfer of human capital. The movement of people itself may not be as important.
Exactly. That is now you can transfer the human capital, by multinational corporations, by the internet, by sending people abroad to be educated. Most of the people who receive PhDs in engineering in the United States today are not Americans.
A lot of people don't like that.
That's right. Americans don't have the education in many cases to stand up for that kind of rigorous work.
In your book, you note that some immigrant groups seem to have these persistent traits that no matter where they go, they seem to have them. Why does that happen? And in a culture like ours where we're pushing assimilation, couldn't that interfere with that process?
I mean, it's culture.
Well, I think the groups that have a full range of skills, they have businessmen, they have workers, they have the whole range. They can have their own little enclaves. And in fact, the Germans and the Jews at one time had that kind of system. You could live on the Lower East Side of New York and you have your own doctors, your own businessmen, your own stores, everything, speaking Yiddish every day without a word of English, and go on and live a lifetime that way.
Is that good? I mean,
it has its pluses and minuses. But if you have a group that is mostly unskilled workers, then they have to work for somebody else, and they have to be able to understand somebody else's language, and so it's crucial for them to acquire
Most
the
Americans, I know most of the viewers out there, you would want immigrants to speak English.
culture. Most of the immigrants themselves want to speak English. The reason there's a controversy is that you have many activists, both from within the group and people in the larger society, who want to keep them foreign. But most of the immigrants themselves want to become Americans.
Self-appointed do-gooders.
Oh, you got it.
I want to talk more about that.
If we're a land that in God we trust, and Jesus says, "Let the children come to me," wouldn't you agree that we need to open our arms to Mexico?
No.
Because every country has to protect its own borders. There was a time when virtually every country in the Western Hemisphere not only allowed but encouraged immigration on a massive scale because they had the land and they needed the resources and so on. It's not at all clear that if you were to throw the borders wide open, let anyone come who wants to, that this would still be the same country 50 years from now.
Exactly.
And so, in a sense, you can't let everybody come to America, because if everybody came to America, it wouldn't be America anymore.
Boom. It wouldn't be
that's not
goddamn
an
America.
option that we have. The most we can do is try to weigh many very different kinds of considerations.
Well, judging from the success of various groups in your book, who should come to America? How should we decide?
Oh, that's a much tougher one, but I think that we should say that we do have the right to decide, and that if people who come here from country X do well and make America a better place, then let more people come here from country X. And if people who come from country Y simply come here and become a burden on the American taxpayers, then less people should come from country Y. One of the problems we have is that the welfare state makes it very expensive to let immigrants in. So you have a country like New Zealand, whose total population is less than that of New York City. And they have all kinds of barriers against immigrants. They've got 60 million sheep there and 3 million people, and vast amounts of empty land. But the point is, once you put your foot on New Zealand soil, you're entitled to all kinds of benefits at the expense of the taxpayers, and therefore the taxpayers don't want you. So it's not just a question of the number of people in the land, it's a question of what kind of system do you have. And one of Germany's problems, one of the reasons for the great hostility to immigration in Germany, is that they are a welfare state. If this was a place where you come in and it's up to you to support yourself, I suspect you'd have a lot less resistance to immigration.
What are some of the threats, which I think Americans are feeling now? I mean, you identify in your book some of the threats that can come about.
I think the mere fact that so much of what was once Mexico is now the southwestern United States is due to the fact that all the Americans settled in Mexico as immigrants, pledged to become part of the Mexican scheme of life, and after a while decided they didn't want to do that, and therefore they took themselves and the land and joined it to the United States. So this can happen. You can have immigrants in such large numbers that they become a threat to the system themselves. Of course, the Roman Empire had that problem when the barbarians settled.
Was that happening in California now? I mean, we have Mexican immigration coming in, bilingual education.
Oh yes.
Long-term bilingual ballots. Talk about non-citizen voting in San Francisco now. The Mexican government is becoming increasingly active in asserting.
Yes.
I mean, are we beginning to see?
Yeah, I think the tragedy is that a lot of the immigrants, of course, come in illegally, which means we have no control whatsoever over what kind of people come in, other than those who are willing to come in. What shocks me is that people who try to cross that border and are caught are turned loose scot-free to try 2 or 3 more times that week. Meanwhile, you're cracking down on businessmen who are trying to run a business, and you're trying to recruit them as law enforcement agents to enforce laws that the Immigration and Naturalization Service is not enforcing.
Well, who should determine whether someone's legal or not legal in the United States? Just the Federal Immigration Service?
Yes, and I think what you need is to get away from squeamishness. I can't believe that you couldn't stop this immigration from Mexico, for example. If you dug trenches 5 feet deep in the earth and filled them with concrete so nobody could,
You afraid of the national ID card?
I'm afraid of what it would be used for, but I hate to see a problem dealt with not by attacking those who create the problem, but by attacking vast numbers of other people who have nothing really to do with that problem. I'm afraid what will be done with a national ID card. But if you had fences that went 5 feet into the ground and 10 feet above the ground and barbed wire on the top, I suspect we'd get just a few high-jumping athletes coming into the United States.
Do you think that the ideology of the free movement of labor as it relates to immigration is picking up steam in this, in the Congress with the Republicans in charge?
I don't know, because these things go back and forth. The conservatives are split on this. The libertarians are gung-ho for it all.
Well, but what about this? I mean, the libertarians don't think there should be any borders at all, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well,
they don't think there should be any government, so therefore there necessarily wouldn't be any borders.
So
Well,
where's the balance? I mean, you want to preserve your national culture and your.
You have to, otherwise they would. I mean, the immigrants are coming here because of something they find here that they don't find in their own homeland.
Right.
Obviously, if you allow this to become just like their homeland, there won't be any benefit to them, and it'll be a tremendous loss to the people who are already here.
Boom. I said the same thing in my other video. Holy crap. Exactly. That's the exact problem that I have with Democrats and their policy on turning America into the very thing that these immigrants are running away from. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, these people are trekking hundreds of, if not thousands of miles on rafts, on boats, on foot, just to escape their country, which is just so corrupt, and yet they're fleeing to America. and these crazy leftists are turning America into the very thing that these immigrants who they're trying to help, they're turning it into the same thing that these immigrants are running away from. Wow. I like that, man. I mean, it's crazy how as I'm watching more of these Thomas Sowell videos, it's crazy how these interviews, like his words, like they still penetrate even to today's situation. Like, I mean, but that goes to show you, man, like how just the fundamental truth of something can just have that lasting effect no matter what time period that you're in. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, it seemed like that interview could have been like, it seemed like it could have been taken today. Like it could have been actually broadcast today, but that was like I think it was like in the 80s, I believe. When was this interview? Hold on. I need to find this original interview. It looks like it was around the 80s, 70s. Of course, Sowell looks much younger, so I mean, but that's. I don't know, man. I don't know. And again, I mean, my issue is, I understand people want to come here for a better life or whatever. I get that. But the thing is, we have to at least know who's coming to the party, if anything. Like, we want to make sure we get the best of the best and the brightest. People who actually are going to contribute to the country and make it better. Like, that's it. Like, no one really has a problem with immigration. People do have a problem with illegal immigration, just like in my other video. That's just like, okay, why do you think we have doors on our cars? Why do you think we have doors on our houses, our businesses, like everywhere? Because it creates a barrier, so we have something physical to say, hey, who's on the other side, and it kind of protects us in our little containment, whether it be in our cars or our homes. If we take those things away, then people can just come into your homes and hop into your cars, and I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's just crazy. But I like that interview. I really like that interview. Of course, I'm gonna do more interviews and more videos of Thomas Sowell. I have to get back also on some more Walter E. Williams. Guys, let me know what you guys think about all this. Let me know what you guys think of illegal immigration, because I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you guys are gonna agree with Sowell himself. It's not about trying to keep people out of a certain country. That's not what it's about. It's honestly, and it's irritating, because that's all the leftist portrays it to be. When it's like, no, we want to make sure that that everyone's good who comes in here. I mean, that's, even if you break it down to the fact, to a microcosm of simply dating. When you date someone, you want to make sure that they're a good fit for you, that they're actually a good person, that they're trustworthy, responsible, respectful, all those things, all those characteristics that you look for in a partner. We're looking for the same thing when it comes to immigration. If it works out, then cool. Like, you know, we'll go on dates, we'll see how it works. You know, whoop whoop. You know, maybe things will get serious. You know, be in a committed relationship, get married, have kids, all that. You know how, you guys know how dating works. But even if we take that concept of dating and apply it to immigration, it's the same thing, because we want people who are going to actually contribute to your life and make it better. Like, why would you want to date someone who's going to fuck your life up and make it worse? So, I mean, hey, I get, and again, like, even though we have people like that who just want people who seem to be good, and yet they're not. They're, you know, they're after the quote unquote bad boys, and I still don't understand why these leftists, why these crazy progressives want these quote unquote bad boys. And I guess it's because that's really their voting bloc. That's who they're trying to go and reach out to, so they can stay in power. That's my only concept so far. I think it's just a power grab. I think it's just as simple as that. I don't know if it's anything else. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know, but guys, let me know what you guys think about all this. Again, I'm gonna do some more time with Sowell. The guy is incredible. I am so glad that I found him. So guys, if you guys enjoyed the video, you already know what to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe for more. Head on over to firstword.com. Use the discount code SoHeManUSA to get 10% off in every single order. Woo! It's been fun, but until next time, guys, I'm getting out of here. Take care, and bye-bye.